Hello everyone, Pontlottyne Wells, fantastic site. Weather looked good, so I thought I'd have a few days away. I had 4 nights over a quick hole in the farm. I ended up going up to Pontlottyn for the first 2 days, the Saturday and the Sunday. It was marginal conditions. The paraglider guys were up 1 minute, skying out 1 minute and then landing the next. And if I'd have took off on my old Gipsy, if I went down, well, there's not much landing there other than round the corner. So on the Sunday, I must admit it did get flyable and it was strong. So nobody turned up. There was no paragliders, nobody there. So I never had the nerve to fly. The day I did fly, nobody come at the last minute. Somebody turned up and I thought, that's it, then I'll have a fly. So it dropped off quite nice for what I, picked up quite nice to what I needed. I got in the air, had a nice flight. I was joined by one of the local lads, Norris. He was on his paraglider, but the chaps reckon he'll fly anything, so we had a good flight together. Anyway, the next day, second day I flew, this is the first takeoff. It was blowing a hoolie. Everybody had been there with varios, ventimeters. When the wind on their ventimeters, this takeoff looks airy, but it's quite nice. I think it was anyway. Their ventimeters, when the wind was down light, mine was always like 2-3 mile an hour slower than theirs. And come to death, when the wind was blowing 22, mine was still only reading 17. So on this flight now, where I'm flying now, it was actually gusting on mine up to 30 plus. But that young chap come along, he was only staying a short time. So I thought, well, I'm going, as long as he's there for, if anything's going to go wrong, it's going to be at the beginning of the flight. Once I'm in the air, I know I'm going to be safe. And then my only worry then was landing, but I thought, well, I'll stay in the air until I see a car driving by, and if I crash, they'll help me. But as it was, there was another guy turned up by the time I landed. Yeah, that takeoff, I'm taking off right back, basically behind the Venturi. Not that I thought there was much of one really, because I cut through it no trouble. Yeah, and every time it did get to the gusty, the strong stuff, I just faced in the wind and held my own until it was clear and away, turn again. But it is lumpy. I don't mind lumps on the sand dunes, you get used to it, I think. But it's a fantastic site. The 2 days I were there not flying was great, because everybody there were friendly. All paraglider pilots. I was the only hang-glider pilot there until this day. But yeah, sorry about the camera angles, crap, a bit like my flying. I'll have to get a wider lens again. I took the wider lens off because it was making the picture unclear. It's a nice picture today because it's sunny. Yeah, 360s. Yeah, they're not very much fun on my old glider. I don't know why the Gipsy is a lovely thing to fly, but she's not the greatest at, well, I suppose in this turbulence it's hard to do a nice steady 360, but she's not the greatest for 360s anyway. If I'm quite steep in small thermals, it feels like I can't push out hard enough to go round. Yeah, here we go. I like playing. When the conditions feel right, I tend to let the Gipsy feel the wind, and whatever the wind does, I just enhance it. So if my wing drops, I just enhance it and turn it into a drop. If the wing drops to the right, I let it go into a massive right turn. If the nose wants to go up, I let it go up. Safety though, then I put it in at the right time. And good fun. Got smooth at points, as you can see. Believe it or not, the smoothest of the flying on the whole site was behind those houses, and I would have thought that being above the houses would have been the lumpiest. But there it is, coming rough again. Let the Gipsy do her own thing. I call it bonding with the glider. It's good fun. If the glider can handle it without me helping it, it can certainly handle it when I'm helping it. fantastic sight. That bowl there is if it goes around, that'll become good flying. The guys on the paragliders fly right down past that, if you see it there. There was one chap, Polish Andy I think it is. He had a very good day down the end on the back of there. It's a funny old sight though. 2 nights on the trot, the wind actually went off the hill, come from behind the hill, and late on the evening it spun back round again and come back on the hill, and the paragliders were in the air again. Yeah, it's a nice sight. I've been trying to join the Welsh Club, but every time I go online and fill the form in, I get to the page where you got to pay with PayPal, and it kills the whole site. It just goes, when I log into my PayPal account, and that's the end of the page. I can't post it. Never mind, I'll deal with it on the big computer now after I finish this video. But it is nice over Wales. I've been going over there for a long time now. Love it over there. My little collie's Welsh anyway, she loves it over there. Funny story, my collie actually took off on this site before me. One of the paraglider guys said she caught all of his boot, and as he was going off she was keeping hold of it. So she lifted off first. Great sight. So, well, it's a shame really I haven't got a wide angle lens on now, because you can't really see the best of it. Yeah, as I say, those 360s just don't do it for me. Yeah, it's just going to go back now and land behind the van. The landing, it don't really show up on here, but as I was going in, the glider started to go into nil air wind, and when it got to the point where I could feel no air on my body at all, and I was expecting the glider to parachute the last couple of feet, it carried on flying. So up where the glider was, there must have been a breeze that was enough to keep it flying, yet where my body was, there was no air. So anybody landing here, be aware it does drop off at the last minute, and if you look down now at this point, there's a table. I'd already walked back there and sussed the ground out, and I thought, oh no, in my luck, I'm going to land on this table. You see the legs sticking up, all waiting for somebody. There she is. Oh, not me though. Thank God I landed just in front of it. I thought, that's my luck. I ended up impaled on a table leg. Yeah, now half a minute back to take off. It's a long hard slog back to take off, honestly. You won't like it. You're all 50 yards behind the van. It's a hell of a walk. At this point now, I was going to sort of moon up and jump all the way there. The only turbulence I would have got would have been from behind the van. But at this point now, a chap coming out me. So I think in actual fact, if I had a moon up all the way there, I'd have probably got there quicker anyway. But what a fantastic sight. While I was in the air, this chap now pulled up. He has actually got a glider on his car. So when I was coming in the landing, like I said, it had dropped off, and that was why I landed. I thought it was losing, but he was still thinking it was quite rough and strong. And later, after I took off again, had another flight, and then when I landed that second time, he took off. Had a quickie in the air for 10 minutes, and when he landed, he said to me he thought it was terrible, too rough. But then again, he probably don't fly the sand dunes as much as I do, and they can be quite rough. That's flight 1 over. Flight 2 still blowing, but not as much. But by God, it was still rough. But again, if I remember right, it leveled off. Not long to do. I was going to take off on my own, but at the last minute the chap put his phone down and come forward and help me. I wouldn't normally bother to do another anchor check because with my harness it stays pretty good, but if somebody's here you might as well do it. Yeah, you might see this take-off Saterday. It's not. It looks a damn sight hairier than what it actually is. To me it was just fun flying. I don't think it's hairy at all. But then again, I think you're so busy thinking about flying, I don't seem to see the danger side of it until after I pass through it. But at that point now, hovering and ducking and diving about, if the glider would have dumped me, it had just been a heavy landing on the A-frame and maybe I'd have broken upright. But I'd been on the ground alive. But at this point now, if I was getting blown back, I wouldn't take off. I would have dunked in. And because I'm not going to be able to manage the ridge. But if I can fight my way through this like I am now, I consider that once I'm in the air, I'm safe no matter where I am. And that's how I work things out. I've been on this site now. This is the 5th time I think I've been on this site. I've got nobody there that's flying hang gliders. So I've had to work it all out myself. Yeah, believe it or not, that takeoff then, up, down, side to side. From when I shouted release, I never touched the ground once. That was all in the air. But fantastic sight. I can't wait to fly it on a good day. Yeah, my max height was on the first flight. It wasn't too bad. My machine keeps going to feet, and I've lost the little manual for it, so I don't know how to turn it back to feet. Sorry, it keeps going to meters. But there you go. I'm going to have to get used to it. I just go, whatever it reads, I just say times that by 3. More that means I'm underestimating the height, but who cares? That bowl there was really good. I never got round it. I got as far as the, like a big telegraph mast on the end. Come the end of the first flight, I had worked my way out over the houses and over the river. It was quite nice, but I've got to turn back, make sure I don't lose the hill. The bowl is fun. The corner there, if you go round it, as I say, you can fly all round there and the ridge runs down, looks for miles. The sight from the ground looking for landings looks rather daunting, but once you're in the air, I think in an emergency you'd find somewhere safe to get in. You might break your arm or your leg, but you're not going to die. But the top landing, as I say, is fantastic. I land on the bottom bit of the top landing. There is like 2 stages. I go in over the high bit, but let her go forward onto the lower bit, nearer to the van. I should imagine it, if I can land like I am here in these strong, and I mean strong winds, it's probably nice if it was nice, just a normal day's flying. But on that first flight, I took off, and as I say, it was going up to 30 and just over 30. So God knows what it was at the top in real terms. But at one point the bowl, as I say, I went into the bowl, and on landing a chap said to me, God, you look like you had trouble penetrating at times. And I said, well, you must have been watching me when I was in the bowl. I went too far back in, and it picked up again, and I was just bar back to me waist, trying to get forward. But if I hadn't have got forward, I'd have just bent the bar out, went back and landed on top. There's so much top landing over the whole site. You know, miles from the current mine, which is not what I want. But not a problem. The site, I think, is fantastic. I think it's one of the best sites I've flown. I think it rates with Pandy in my eyes. I know Pandy's a nice run and that, but this is, yeah. Nice easy takeoff, nice easy landing. Just wish it was nice easy flying. No, it was nice. It's lumpy and bumpy, but in the gliding game, everything that takes you up is what you know, is the rough stuff. Fantastic flying. Just wish the glider would stay still. Yeah, taking her on trust. This is the bit I was on about with the other flight. When the air feels right, I tend to let, if a wing drops, rather than fight it or hold it up, I tend to go with it. I actually turn into it. If it all goes wrong, if it all goes tits up sort of thing, all that seems to happen is your nose will drop, and at that point you know it's time to start flying again. But every glider I've ever flown I've been able to do this with. They just fly themselves, right? I think they do anyway. But the Gipsy is a real nice glider. Got no other than it don't really like 360 in for some reason, but that's probably me. But the only problem I've ever had with this glider is if I'm coming in to turn, to land, and I try to get me turn at the last minute, you know, even in light winds, the left tip tends to just drop. But it's always at a height that's not going to kill me. Break my neck or my arm one day maybe, but it's never let me down. Yeah, I always get in. It's a fantastic glider. I just wish I could afford to have one remade. I'm still a bit of a romantic. And I talk to me glider, by the way. I'm one of these people that I actually believe inanimate objects can have a life. I talk to me plants. They don't grow any better, but perhaps they can't hear me, I don't know. And I've always been a nutter. There's only one of me, mate. They broke the mould, I'll tell you. Yeah, that's enough of that. Nice smooth flying again. Some, as I say, at points behind those of that house, the houses there especially, it goes as smooth as old silk. Norris said to me at the end, there's a concrete block, he said. You'll get through and all stuff like that. Every time I flew up there and tried to look for the concrete block, I could never find it. But all of a sudden I'd get a lump, I'd start S-turn, and I'd look down and I'd see the block. So I think he was right. And there's a couple of cornfields that I don't think they show up on here, but there was two cornfields out the front that are just gone white. And that might be on there. They don't actually look white, but they are white in reality. But every now and then they was kicking some good stuff off. Yeah, here we go again. It gets to the point again where you're in the air, and because there's no, as I say, no safe 100% bottom landing, it gets you worried, so you think, sod this, I'm going in the land. Yeah, just as I'm thinking it though, in comes the last blast, and I had it, I played with it. In actual fact, you get to the point where I've got to lose a bit of height to go over the back, because I'm afraid to go over the back massively high in case I get blown back. But I go back with quite a bit of height, but as I say, it burns off as you go back because the ground's dropping. And when you turn in the wind, even in the strong winds, I had no trouble holding my own getting forward. Yeah, going back to land, I don't mess about. When I'm landing, I'm landing. I was the same in a sail plane. Once I get my head in gear to land, even if I bumped into a thermal on the downwind leg or what, I wouldn't change my mind. I'm going into land. And I love the landing here. You could say it's airy, but like I said, my body seems to go into nil wind, but obviously the glider don't, because it carries on flying. There's the vans. There's a few by now. When I took off, a few paraglider pilots had turned up as well. They waited around till late. I stayed on the site. I was never in no rush to go, but it never picked up from in the end, unless they had a half hour just before dark after I left. But it stayed strong right to the end. Fantastic sight. I should be back there. I met some nice people there. A really good time. I had 4 days over there. Nice morning, sat around. I wasn't getting on site till dinner hour, and on the day that I could have flew, that I never flew because there was nobody there. That was I think it was a Sunday. I didn't get there till 2 o'clock. But when people did turn up, the wind had dropped off again. So other than that, I would have had 3 days flying. There you go, hard slog back to the front again. People come and help you because they don't want to see you get blown back or turned over. But the Gipsy is so stable in that respect that I could probably just moon up all the way to the front. And like I said, when I took off on that last flight, I was just about to launch myself. The guy had been on the phone. And the Gipsy's so stable to all. Once you know it's been checked over, it's so easy and stable to just put the pin in the nose, get underneath, clip yourself in, hold her above your head and go. Mind you, I never ever sit around with a glider. Once the glider's above my head, if I'm not in the air within 5 minutes, the glider's back on the ground. I just never got into this habit of sitting under a glider. Yeah, they weren't long flights, as I say, but having the camera on board, you can get exactly how long they are. But they seem a lot longer, and you're a lot tireder than the little times they took to fly. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. There ends another day. I enjoyed it. Take it from me. Can't wait to go back there. Pete the Wrist out. Thanks for watching.